Now, you're probably scratching your head after reading the introduction title to this one, but we're going to use the Color Range tool for black and white selections. You can see this lovely picture of Blackpool Promenade here, the new seawall with a bit of figures in there to add some scale to the whole thing, taken by yours truly. I can't even say it. Yours truly. So we're going to call up the Color Range toolbox again, which is going to be floating above your image. We can have a click around in here, mess around. Let's take it up to 200 there. But we're going to look down at the bottom here in the highlights, midtones and shadows, and let's click on the highlights, and you can see straight away from our black and white we've got a selection. The fuzziness disappears. We can go in and have a look at the none or the grayscale. I prefer to keep it the grayscale now. Let's pull this over here. So as simple as that, we've created a highlight selection in a monochrome. So let's use it. I'm going to click OK. And click OK if it does it. And you can see that the marching ants, inside the marching ants is my selection. I'm going to call up a layer and I'm going to give it a name. Surprisingly, I'm going to call it highlights. Let's see if we can type it right. Yes, indeed. Highlights. We're going to use this and I'm going to put a mask on it. And if I put a mask in there, then the selection is loaded into that mask. If I Alt click or Option click on it, it'll show us what the mask looks like. And I'm going to throw some color into this layer. So let's choose the color picker, go down into little squares there. We're going to have a lovely green, I think. So I'm going to use Alt and Backspace, Option Backspace on the Mac, and just flood that new layer with green. Solid green it is, so let's just try and work with some blend modes. There's color. I know it's looking a bit gassy. I'm just using these as a sample. You'll be more subtle, of course, and be using your opacity sliders. Overlay is good, soft light's good, color. Use those three blend modes. Let's go in again and choose the color range tool. You can see there it's actually taking some of the information back from our new composite image. I want to use the midtones this time. Yeah, everything's looking alright, that's fine. I'm going to click OK, see how quick I'm going through this. Let's click on that highlights layer, add a new layer above it, stick a layer mask on. Our selection is now loaded into there. Let's have a look, Alt click, Option click, yeah, looking really good. If we click there to make sure that the white bounding box is around, we've got that blue there, Alt, Backspace, Option Backspace, that will fill that layer up with the colour. It's looking good so far. Let's change this one to soft light. You see there we're getting a bit of the texture coming through from underneath. We're getting this nice graphic, crazy looking image of Blackpool Promenade. Let's go back in again and choose the select colour range. And you know what we're going to do with the last one. Yeah, we're going to the shadows, so choose up the shadows there. Just click OK straight away. Select that top layer. You see I've not renamed, I'm getting to be a lazy boy. Load a mask in, that's going to load in that selection as a mask, and of course we're going to add another colour, so let's go back down here and choose a nice mucky sandy colour, which is what Blackpool's famous for, the Golden Mile, or the Mucky Mile as you used to call it. And that's in normal blend mode. It looks quite nice and graphic. We can have a look at the different blend modes. Because it's black, it's going to be a bit tricky to get a decent blend mode working with that. Lighter colour, that's quite nice. That's giving it a really graphic edge. Don't forget, we're working at 100% on all these. This is really just, as ever with your layer work and masking work, your starting point. Don't forget you've got your opacity. Let's look at the normal blend mode and see how that looks. That's looking really good. And then play with those opacity sliders and just work the image to taste. No numbers here, you know that we don't work like that. Just play around with the sliders. You've got to learn Photoshop by doing it yourself, not by copying somebody. You've got to get in there, make your mistakes, and mess about. Don't forget, don't save things over your original file. We can also look at the mask and reduce the density of the mask. So next to your adjustment panel is your mask panel. We've selected that one with the white bounding box around the outside. You can actually reduce the density of your masks. Okay, I might be throwing too much information at you. Don't forget, rewind this, replay it, have a cup of tea, some toast, maybe some nice biscuits. Sit down there and play along with this. And again, the nice density of the mask there, that's just calling up the Alt and clicking on it, which will call up the mask into our main panel. We can do this with all of these. We could be here all night doing this if we really wanted to. You can see that the white bounding box is around the outside of the image, and we can also invert it. Don't forget your Control I, Command I will invert a mask. In fact, it will invert anything in Photoshop. Control I, Command I. So we've inverted the mask now. We're still using the same colours. Get a different feel again. So then you can go back in and play around with different blend modes and see what on earth you can do and create. Have fun. That's the main thing. This is just to get you on the road to doing lots of different things with the blend modes and the colours and the mass. Messing, learning as you go along. If you come across a combination that works, just make a note of it. Mental note, sometimes easy to have a little notebook and write it down. So this is what we did. We chose our colour range tool. We went into the highlights, midtones and shadows. We clicked OK. We selected that. Yes, little message box. We didn't select anything that time, but just showing you. We used that information to create masks on different layers with different colour fills. And it was as simple as that. Alt Option just to see what your mask looks like. Alt Option. We've done no levels adjustment on these. These are really straight out of the colour range. You saw how quick it was. Most of the time taken up here is me blithering on about things. And we all took it from a very simple monochrome original. My monochrome original, which is a Blackwood Promenade. You might have, well, you probably will have separate sorts of images to work on. So that's looking good. And we can see here, you can mess with the colours. Let's go in and have a look at a hue saturation adjustment. Hue saturation adjustment. Let's just take that to the top of the stack there, and go back into the adjustment layer. Let's see. Oh yes, I've left the mask as a black mask. Let me just go back in here and down to the layers, and I'll just click on that, make sure it's selected, and control invert it. That will make it white again, so it's usable rather than being all blanked off. And we can just drag the hue saturation slider around. You could always select individual colours and change things. So you have the flexibility. Once you've added colour into your black and white image, you have the flexibility of the hue saturation to get in there and play and play. So that's really been using monochromes with the colour select range, adding colour, using blend modes. I hope you're learning something from this. Send some feedback, and that's the end of this one. So until the next time, it's ta-ta for now. Thanks for watching.